Do your D&D campaign endings leave players satisfied, or perhaps wanting just a little bit more? If you're a dungeon master, you know that feeling in your gut when the final dice are about to roll. It's that mix of anticipation and pure dread sometimes.
Yeah, that pressure to truly stick the landing, right, to create something really memorable.
Exactly. And that's precisely what we're here to unravel today.
That's right. Welcome to this relaxed yet hopefully depthly insightful deep dive. We've been really immersing ourselves in the incredible wisdom shared by LitRPG Reads lately.
Yeah, some great stuff there.
And our mission today is pretty straightforward: to equip you with practical, actionable tips for crafting those truly impactful campaign closures. The kind that resonate long after the dice are back in the bag.
Think of it as a shortcut, maybe, to ensuring your stories don't just conclude, they truly echo in the minds of your players.
Exactly. That echo is what we're aiming for.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're talking about the immense weight of the finale here. Why do these endings truly matter so profoundly at our tables?
Well, what we've discovered is that a well-crafted conclusion is, and this phrase really struck me, irrevocable.
Irrevocable, wow.
Yeah, it literally etches itself into the collective memory of your table for years, maybe even decades, you know?
It's not just ticking off plot points then.
Not at all. It transforms a simulated adventure into something far more personal, a personal legend for everyone involved.
Her personal legend, I like that. It becomes this profound emotional reckoning then.
Precisely that.
Yeah.
When you think about it, every character choice, every hard-won triumph, every heartbreaking loss, even the little bits of unfinished business.
Yeah, the stuff that's accumulated over dozens of sessions.
Exactly. They all culminate at this one critical point. It's where every ounce of emotional investment your players have poured in comes to a head.
And it's not just emotional payoff, right? There's a mechanical side too.
Oh, absolutely. Beyond the narrative emotional payoff, there's also a crucial need for a kind of mechanical neatness. This is where you resolve those lingering magical debts, you tally up the hard-won experience points.
Right, and you really mark that character growth that's been earned across so many sessions.
The truth is, stories can simply dissolve when cohesion slips, much like a puzzle with that one piece that just refuses to fit. It leaves everyone with this nagging sense of incompleteness.
That analogy of the puzzle piece is so spot on. And as DMs, we absolutely feel that burden. There's this pervasive dread leading up to that last session, isn't there?
Oh, yeah.
We're desperate to stick the landing, but there's always that gnawing fear of falling short, of delivering something that just, well, fizzles.
Fizzles, yeah. That's the fear.
So what are the common pitfalls that can trip us up? Because I've certainly stumbled into a few myself.
Oh, it's a very real concern for DMs everywhere. I think the most common pitfall we see is rushed endings. You know the feeling.
Definitely. You hit the clock, players are getting tired.
Right, and you try to cram way too much into the last hour. This often leads to those fizzled emotional payoffs and a lot of vague what-ifs.
Instead of that deep sense of satisfaction, they're left with lingering questions.
Yeah.
The kind that haunt the group chat later.
Exactly, turning intended fulfillment into an unfortunate feeling of incompleteness. But here's the interesting paradox. That very pressure isn't necessarily a bad thing.
Oh.
How so? Well, our research suggests that this pressure actually cracks open room for brilliance. It makes these endings the forge where stories are remembered.
A forge. I like that imagery.
It's that deep desire to get it right, even with the inherent risk of stumbling, that can lead to something truly extraordinary.
Okay, so if the goal isn't necessarily a perfect or pristine wrap-up, one that's totally devoid of any roughness or ambiguity, then what is a good ending? How do we even begin to define that, well, that elusive quality?
A truly satisfying finale, as we've explored, isn't really about perfection. It arises organically.
Organically, so it feels natural.
Yeah, like a natural progression, not
Yeah.
something rigidly forced by the DM. And critically, it's earned through player action and narrative consequence.
Earned. That feels important.
It is. Every single decision, every risk taken, every triumph, every failure the players have experienced throughout the campaign, it all contributes directly to this final moment.
And it has to be felt, right?
And perhaps most importantly, it's genuinely felt by everyone around the table. What this means is that meaning radiates from each decision made in the darkness and every scar on the paladin's shield.
So it ensures that the ending truly belongs to the table, not just to the dungeon master.
Exactly. It's their story, their journey, and their deeply personal conclusion.
I really resonate with that.
Yeah.
Belongs to the table. It emphasizes the truly collaborative nature of our games.
Huh.
But even with the best intentions, those pitfalls you mentioned still exist.
Oh, for sure.
Things like rushed battle sequences that feel like a slog rather than a climax.
Or those storylines that just fray without resolution.
Or what's maybe worse, those forced denouements that feel like they rob players of closure. So how do we navigate these missteps?
Well, the common missteps are those moments where the narrative coherence either breaks down or the emotional investment simply isn't paid off. A final battle, for instance, might feel like a tedious grind rather than an epic confrontation if it's poorly paced.
Or if the players don't feel a personal connection to the stakes.
Right. Storylines can unravel, leaving plot threads dangling unsatisfactorily, almost like, I don't know, an unraveled sweater.
Yeah, that loose thread you keep pulling.
And a forced resolution, one that doesn't feel genuinely earned by the player's unique actions throughout the campaign, can leave a hollow, disempowering feeling.
So what was that about the possibility of misstep making it transcendent? That sounds counterintuitive.
It does, but the profound insight here is that the very act of striving for excellence, even knowing you might stumble, is what elevates that ending.
How so?
It's a clear signal that you, the DM, care deeply enough to dedicate yourself to crafting something truly impactful. That shared vulnerability and effort between the DM and players, where everyone is invested in getting it right, even with the risk of imperfection, that's what makes the experience truly transcendent.
So it's the intent and the journey, not just the flawless outcome.
Precisely, it's the care.
That's a truly fascinating perspective. It's about the effort and the shared intent as much as the outcome itself. Okay, so now that we've grasped why endings hold so much significance, let's pivot to how we actually get there.
Right, the practical side.
The very first step, according to the wisdom we've gleaned, is to start planning the end before it begins. Now, this might sound a bit counterintuitive when we talk so much about player agency, doesn't it?
It absolutely can at first glance. But the core idea here is beautifully simple. You start planning your campaign's endgame arc from the very first session you run.
From session 1, really?
Even before anyone has glimpsed the final sky of the ultimate confrontation. Yeah. Think of it like planting seeds.
Seeds for the ending.
Every early detail, that villain's casual, unsettling warning, a fleeting glimpse of a world-shaking secret, or even a whispered, cryptic prophecy heard in a dusty tavern, all serve to sow seeds for a harvest players will one day reap.
Okay, so it's about laying the foundational groundwork, not dictating a rigid, predetermined future.
Exactly. You're not writing the whole script.
So it's about setting up possibilities then, not plotting out every single deed of a story. How do we, as dungeon masters, truly balance that initial structure with the all-important player agency? Because the last thing we want is for players to feel like they're just on rails.
That's a critical distinction, and it's where many DMs feel that tension. The advice we've encountered emphasizes keeping the soil loose.
Loose soil.
You want the various outcomes to shimmer in uncertainty, leaving ample space for your group's collective chaos and creativity to blossom. The critique here is explicitly against locking the party on rails.
Which totally stifles player choice.
Right, and makes the game feel predetermined. Instead, the guidance is to build port horizons that let players run. You know the general direction of the epic conclusion you're aiming for, but the specific path the players take,
The exact nature of that ending, and even who faces the final confrontation,
are all profoundly shaped by the players' choices. It's their story unfolding, after all.
So how do we actually do this foreshadowing? What are some practical techniques for layering those breadcrumbs subtly throughout the campaign without them feeling, forced or super obvious?
It's all about subtle, organic integration. You can layer these breadcrumbs in countless ways. Imagine a villain who has a distinct, unsettling laugh that your players hear again and again, even when they're not physically present. Or perhaps recurring symbols on tavern signs, on the armor of guards, or even in street graffiti that subtly hint at a hidden organization or an ancient power stirring.
Like a secret society's mark.
Could be. Or maybe a simple scrap of a prophecy slipped innocently between black market receipts. Or just weaving these details naturally into your session logs, background overtures, and casual NPC ramblings.
So it feels like part of the world, not a signpost.
Exactly. The trick is to make these elements feel like a natural part of the living, breathing world. Players will notice them subconsciously, building a sense of recognition and mystery over time, making the eventual reveal feel earned, not just dropped on them.
And when you're sketching out these broad arcs, how specific should you get in your planning? Are we talking detailed outlines or just major beats?
The strategy is definitely to sketch broad arcs and map out a few possible endings, like maybe there's a fateful duel between rivals or a character's journey towards redemption.
Or maybe the world is left burning versus one that's rebuilt and reborn. Big picture stuff.
Right, big picture. But the truly crucial part is to actively let the specifics twist and warp with choices made by your players.
So flexibility is key.
Absolutely vital. You're essentially setting the grand stage and defining the major thematic conflicts, but the actors, your players, are the ones who write the actual script with their actions, their decisions, their failures. It ensures the ending truly belongs to their shared story.
Got it. It's like building the sturdy frame of a house, but the interior design, the furniture, the whole lived-in feel, that's all chosen by the occupants.
Perfect analogy.
So how does this early seeding help build momentum and create that powerful sense of convergence as the campaign progresses?
Oh, it's transformative. Those early sessions should thrum with unresolved tension, constantly hinting at broader consequences and clearly showing the costs of failure. This keeps players engaged, invested, always looking forward.
So they feel like things are building?
Yeah. You allow individual ambitions, vendettas, and alliances to grow wild, but the magic happens when all of these seemingly disparate threads begin to contribute to a series of satisfying resolution points that build momentum over time.
And by the end?
By the time you reach the grand finale, these threads should powerfully converge, forming an inescapable web woven through every single moment since the first dice hit the table.
Wow. That creates this powerful feeling for the players, then, that the ending was always coming, a natural, inevitable consequence of their actions.
Exactly. Not inevitable in a railroad way, but inevitable in a cause and effect way.
That sounds incredibly powerful, like a story building itself organically.
Sure.
And the insights we found give us a ton of specific ways to see the campaign's ending early, like over a dozen examples. What are some of the standout ones you think DMs should really consider?
Yeah, the list is fantastic. For instance, recurring villain motifs and taunts establish a consistent personal threat players can latch onto. Think of a villain who always leaves a chilling signature behind.
Or whose taunts get more personal as they learn about the party.
Right. Showing they truly know the party. Prophetic dreams or cryptic omens are excellent for hinting at future events without giving everything away, building that delicious mystery.
And going right back to the start.
And importantly, unfinished business from session one, like an old debt, a lost loved one, or that mysterious patron from day one. Those create long-term hooks that can return for a truly impactful final reckoning.
So it's about those long-term callbacks.
Yeah.
What about the players themselves? How do their backstories and choices get woven in?
Oh, absolutely central. Players' backstories intertwining in unlikely places can reveal hidden connections, deepen relationships, and create those brilliant aha moments.
Like finding out the rogue's forgotten childhood friend is now the BBG's lieutenant.
Exactly that kind of thing. And world events linked to player choices, like a plague that worsens or a war that expands based on their decisions, show the tangible impact of their actions on the larger world. Makes the stakes feel much more significant.
Yeah, it's not just happening to them, they're causing it in a way.
And rival adventuring parties can evolve from simple competition to crucial allies or bitter antagonists in the finale, adding layers of dynamic relationship.
What about those moral choices or promises made early on?
Crucial. Forsworn oaths or bargains with higher powers introduce moral dilemmas that demand resolution, often with very personal consequences. Did they uphold their paladin oath? What happens if they didn't?
I can see how that would make things feel incredibly personal. Any other clever ways to seed things? Stuff related to the world itself?
Definitely. Locations with layered history, like a city that holds the finale's secret beneath its streets, provide a sense of discovery and deepening lore as players uncover its hidden past. Makes the final setting richer.
Like peeling back layers of an onion.
Kind of. Echoes or visions of the future disaster or hope can offer tantalizing glimpses that drive players forward with either urgency or inspiration. NPCs who grow from ally to betrayer, or vice versa, add layers of complexity and emotional weight.
Oh, the betrayals. Those always hit hard.
They really do, and they force difficult choices and reveal the true nature of their world. Hints of greater threats lurking behind first villains ensure the scope naturally expands, leading to even bigger, more epic stakes.
So the first villain wasn't the real threat.
Maybe just a pawn. And finally, and this is crucial, Players' personal quests converging or clashing at campaign's end ensures that individual arcs tie seamlessly into the grand finale, making it feel truly personal and impactful for everyone.
We could even include, like, environmental changes as the world tips toward the final conflict.
Absolutely. Showing visible signs of the impending crisis, like a spreading blight or unnatural weather patterns, it makes the threat feel real and pervasive.
So it's not just a collection of cool ideas, it's about establishing an inevitable rhythm. That phrase really sticks with me. A drumbeat heard since the campaign's first encounter. What does that mean for player investment and the feeling they get at the end?
It means that a truly good ending isn't a rabbit pulled from a hat. It doesn't just appear out of nowhere.
Right, no deus ex machina.
Instead, it feels like the natural, almost fated culmination of everything that has come before. The earlier you lay that groundwork, the more invested your players will feel because their choices have consistently cost and matter
Deepens their connection to the narrative.
profoundly, and makes the final outcome feel earned. By giving players room to influence the shape of the end, you empower them. The world's fate then feels forged by their hands, not imposed from a DM script.
And that, my friend, is the kind of ending that leaves dice rollers smirking in satisfaction.
Exactly. With their characters truly alive in memory, their impact undeniable.
All right, so we've carefully planned the end from the beginning, seeding all these amazing interconnected elements. Now, how do we actually build towards the climax? The material we've explored talks about how distant thunder rumbled through the city's mirrored towers as the party stalked its prey, every step dragging threads of fate tighter around their throats.
Oh, evocative.
Yeah. That vivid image suggests a gradual ascent of tension, not just one sudden explosive session.
Absolutely. The build-up to the finale should never be confined to a single overloaded session. That rarely works well. Tension needs to heighten over time.
Like turning up the heat slowly.
Exactly. Through a carefully orchestrated series of hazards, revelations, and betrayals blossoming one after another. Think of it as slowly turning up the heat on a pressure cooker of ambition and revenge, gradually increasing the intensity and complexity with each session.
Which forces players to lean in, white-knuckled, for every choice.
Knowing stakes are constantly rising, it makes the eventual climax feel truly earned and incredibly impactful.
And how do we deepen these moments as we build? I love the idea of using callbacks that snap the party back to moments from months or even years past. Can you elaborate on that? Maybe an example?
Callbacks are incredibly powerful for making the stakes feel profoundly personal. Imagine that seemingly insignificant locket the thief pilfered way back in session 1.
Yeah, the thing everyone forgot about.
Suddenly it returns as the key to unlocking a villain's weakness, or an old enemy from a forgotten side quest who you thought was dead and buried.
Oh no.
Resurfaces with a terrifying new agenda, now far more powerful than before. A seemingly minor scandal from session 2, like a shady deal, could suddenly explode into relevance, forcing difficult choices and reshaping loyalties.
So this thickening web makes the final conflict more urgent.
Because the stakes feel inherently personal. It's not just about some abstract global threat. It's about their past, their choices, coming full circle to demand a reckoning.
So we're not just moving forwards, we're actively weaving in the past, making it relevant. What about subplots? How do those crystallize as we get closer to the finale, becoming integral to the larger narrative?
As the finale approaches, it's absolutely crucial to allow those simmering subplots to crystallize. This means a hero's mysterious patron, who has only communicated through cryptic messages, might finally appear in the flesh.
Uh-oh, demanding something big.
Demanding a critical sacrifice, perhaps? Or a forgotten sibling, long thought lost, suddenly reappears, demanding vengeance for an old wrong that implicates a party member. Loads of it. Perhaps the artifact they've carried for so long, and whose grim price they've paid in small ways, now demands its ultimate payment. You need to actively breathe life into secondary conflicts, because every branching thread, every unresolved personal quest, fuels the final, white-hot confrontation.
So the climax isn't just about the main plot, it's a convergence of all the narrative lines.
Epic and intensely personal, yeah.
And what about player agency during this intense build-up? It feels like this is precisely when a DM might be tempted to pull back the reins, make sure the story gets exactly where it needs to go.
That's exactly when you don't snatch away player choice. Player agency matters more than ever when the stakes are at their absolute highest.
So resist the urge to control.
You have to ensure that every risk taken, every bargain struck, or every alliance battered in these late sessions genuinely ripples into the outcome. actively encourage scenarios where characters might argue and split over a critical decision.
Even divide the party. That's brave.
It can be, if their goals diverge. The finale should feel dangerous, unpredictable, utterly in their hands. Their decisions, even the most difficult and agonizing ones, must genuinely affect the path to the showdown, making the victory or the defeat truly theirs.
So it's about making them feel the profound weight of their choices. How do we layer in mechanical pressure, those in-game challenges, to really enhance this feeling of rising stakes?
You introduce elements that directly impact their resources and decision-making. Think ticking clocks, like that magical blight visibly consuming the kingdom at 10 miles a day.
Giving players a clear, undeniable countdown to catastrophe.
Exactly, or dwindling magical resources that force casters to be incredibly selective with their spells. Or strategic disadvantages that make combat encounters inherently riskier.
You want to layer dramatic stakes across every encounter, making players sweat for every victory.
And truly feel the cost of suboptimal moves, missed clues, or risky gambles. This mechanical pressure perfectly reflects the narrative intensity, ensuring the players are constantly engaged, thinking strategically, and making meaningful choices under duress.
That's brilliant. And speaking of techniques, the material we've reviewed provides us with, over 15 storytelling techniques to raise stakes before the finale. Can you give us a few more that truly stand out, maybe some that add a psychological or personal dimension?
Absolutely. Beyond what we've touched on, character flashbacks or nightmare visions linked to the final conflict can be incredibly potent. Adds a deep psychological layer.
Like a hero haunted by a recurring dream of the villain's triumph driving them forward.
Right. NPCs delivering desperate pleas for help immediately personalizes the global threat, turns abstract danger into a desperate cry for aid from someone they actually care about.
Makes it hit home.
You can also have factions erupting into open war, escalating the scale of the conflict dramatically beyond just the party. Time limits for world-shaking disasters, like a prophecy saying a celestial event occurs in 3 days, are classic for building undeniable suspense.
It's the heart racing.
And magical resources drying up or breaking directly impacts character abilities, forcing adaptation and showing the world itself is under strain.
What about betrayals, or those difficult moral choices that really ramp up the drama? Those seem key.
Indeed. Betrayals among trusted allies can be absolutely devastating, creates deeply personal wounds that shake the party's foundation.
Ouch. Trust no one.
Cryptic prophecies tightening focus can guide players toward the final confrontation while still leaving enough room for interpretation and player agency. Choose your side moments with ambiguous outcomes. Force difficult moral quandaries where there's no clear right answer, only difficult ones.
Shades of gray.
Unstable alliances, growing volatile, can lead to unexpected shifts in the battlefield, forcing players to reconsider who they can truly trust. And physically, splitting the party from multi-location threats can heighten tension by stretching resources thin and forcing difficult coordination.
Are there any more that touch on the campaign's history or a player's past actions coming back to haunt them? That seems really powerful.
Definitely. Major NPC deaths that change party morale can have a profound emotional impact, creating a sense of loss and resolve that fuels the party's final push.
Or breaks them.
Could go either way. Recurring dreamscapes hinting at doom or salvation can build a consistent sense of dread or hope, pulling players into a shared psychological landscape. And powerfully, traps or environmental hazards that reflect characters' pasts or past actions literally coming back to haunt the party.
Like that trap specifically targets a character's long-forgotten childhood fear.
Precisely. It ties everything together, reminding players that their history shapes their present challenges and that nothing is truly forgotten.
This all sounds like a masterclass in tension building. The material we explored also talks about incorporating reflection and pacing during this build-up. How do these elements contribute to the rising stakes?
As the narrative tapestry tightens, it's vital to intersperse moments for reflection. Characters need a chance to glance back at their histories.
Let their past victories and failures intertwine with the present.
Exactly. Imagine a long-forgotten ally reaching out with a final inspiring message, or a painful memory resurfacing that shakes a character's resolve at a crucial moment. These intimate connections deepen the stakes, compelling players to act with greater intention and personal investment.
And pacing is equally crucial.
You need to sync the pacing of the climax with rising tension. Use crescendos where every setback should fuel determination, while each success adds to the burden they carry. This ensures the emotional and mechanical rhythm matches the narrative,
allowing threads from earlier adventures to resurface.
perhaps disrupting well-laid plans or fueling new conflicts, making sure every past choice echoes through the grand finale.
So the goal is for the culmination to feel both inevitable and surprising, leaving an emotional wildfire in players' hearts. How does embracing unpredictability, rather than fighting it, help achieve this?
Players absolutely thrive on agency. Their choices must bend the outcome of the climax.
Has to matter.
By embracing unpredictability, you make the path to the final showdown feel less like a predetermined script and more like a living, breathing entity, swirling with danger and possibility.
Like being open to desperate alliances forming on the fly or unexpected betrayals.
Exactly. When the culmination is truly a tightly woven mesh of all the decisions made by the players reflecting their collective journey, it feels profoundly earned. And because you haven't rigidly predetermined every beat, the surprising elements are genuinely impactful.
Igniting that emotional wildfire that players will remember and talk about long after the campaign concludes.
That's the goal. That's the magic.
Right, so we've skillfully built the tension, the stakes are sky high, and the campaign is hurtling towards its crescendo. Now we arrive at the ultimate showdown. The material we've immersed ourselves in describes the final encounter setting as more than just a map. It should be a living, treacherous place where every detail means something. What does that truly entail for DM designing this critical moment?
It means transcending the idea of just a static battlefield, right? The environment itself becomes an active, dangerous participant in the conflict.
So interactive terrain.
More than just interactive. Imagine shifting ledges that crumble under fit, traps that tick in sync with the antagonist's pulse, creating a desperate race against time.
More bystanders at fatal risk, forcing agonizing moral choices mid-fight.
Exactly. The goal is to make these environments sing with consequence. Every piece of the terrain, from a treacherous chasm to an ancient, unstable pillar, should offer tactical advantages or disadvantages, creating dynamic challenges that force players to think creatively and adapt.
Rather than just standing there and rolling dice.
Precisely. It's about making the space matter as much as the enemy.
And what about the mechanics of the fight itself? It sounds like we should shake loose from routine and go far beyond just reducing hit points to 0 to make it truly memorable.
Oh, absolutely. The finale is the prime time to introduce unique, non-combat objectives. Maybe the entire fight hinges not on direct damage, but on a single wrenching choice.
Like, do you save an ally who's about to be sacrificed, or let a villain escape to preserve an ancient artifact?
Or destroy a relic that anchors reality, knowing the consequences are dire. Objectives could include interrupting a ritual before it completes, stopping time from unraveling.
Or even subtly turning enemies against each other through clever manipulation.
Yeah. The material we've explored also suggests battles that twist the rules, phases where gravity shifts unpredictably, where dreams overwrite reality.
Or where players must engage in a dramatic debate instead of a physical duel to achieve victory.
Right, these kinds of creative encounters don't just feel different. They lead to memorable vistas that will stick with players for years. It breaks the mold.
So the environment and mechanics are working hand in hand to create something unique. How do character arcs, the individual journeys of the players, feed into this climax? It seems crucial that the final encounter isn't just a generic boss fight, but something deeply personal to each hero.
It's absolutely vital for the encounter to serve and culminate character arcs. Rivals should taunt players about unfinished business, pulling on specific threads from their backstories, making the conflict intensely personal.
Using their history against them.
Crucial NPCs, perhaps allies or former enemies, might emerge at the worst time, either adding pressure with their presence or offering unexpected last-minute aid that's a direct consequence of past player actions.
And their past actions could even have a mechanical effect.
Definitely. Heroes' past deeds can mechanically affect the fight. Perhaps a bard's inspiring song weakens the final boss because they redeemed an old friend earlier.
Or a rogue unlocks a hidden, critical path through the final dungeon, through past thievery and exploration.
Exactly. Whether they win or lose, the outcomes must shimmer with narrative weight, resulting in profound consequences like deaths, exiles, curses, or second chances that feel truly earned and impactful for each character.
That makes the stakes so much higher and more meaningful. But how do you balance making it feel wild, harrowing, maybe even unfair by design, with still being surmountable through cleverness or creativity? You don't want to just TPK the party because it's the finale and you thought it'd be epic.
No, that's usually not the goal. It's a truly delicate balance, and it's where a DM's finesse really comes in. The key is to ensure the challenge feels earned, not just arbitrary.
So difficult, but not impossible.
The encounter should feel incredibly difficult, pushing the characters to their absolute limits, but it should never feel truly impossible, unless maybe that's the point of the story somehow. The tension should remain crackling, and the dice matter immensely, but they shouldn't erase what makes each character shine.
It's about creating an extreme challenge that highlights their unique abilities and strengths.
Forcing them to use every tool, every spell, every skill they've learned and become throughout the campaign, rather than simply being overwhelmed by raw numbers. It's a test of their growth, really.
And to really lean into that grandeur, what about cinematic mechanics and world-bending rules? How do we infuse the final stretch with that epic big screen feel?
This is where you truly elevate the final stretch beyond typical combat. Introduce one-use abilities that feel like heroic last resorts.
Like something they can only do once, but it might turn the tide.
Exactly. Or flashback rescue moments, where past actions, maybe a debt called in from an NPC, can suddenly provide a crucial advantage. Make the world's rules slippery.
Magic flickering erratically, terrain collapsing dramatically.
Or even their own memories becoming literal weapons used against them or by them. The goal is to ensure every roll, every decision should feel like it could alter the story's course forever, creating an epic, larger-than-life experience.
Makes their heroism or their failure truly resonate. The material we explored also gives us a fantastic array of specific encounter types, complete with unique twists, character integration ideas, and possible aftermaths. Let's dig into a few of these. What about a classic boss duel and how to make it special?
A boss duel can be transformed into something epic by giving the boss shifting phases, where they change tactics, powers, or even their form.
Forcing the party to adapt on the fly.
Right. You can also introduce rival NPC intervention, where an old adversary or even a new, unexpected ally throws their weight into the fight.
And for character integration.
These rivals could taunt players about unfinished business, making the fight intensely personal. The aftermath could see the boss escaping for a future campaign, being dramatically redeemed, or finally following a cathartic triumph. Lots of options.
What if a climax isn't combat-focused? How about a puzzle encounter for the finale?
Ooh, interesting. In a puzzle finale, reality itself might warp with errors, creating an unstable, surreal environment. Solving it would require characters to use their deeply ingrained backstory knowledge.
Like a character with extensive lore about ancient runes might be the only one who can decipher the warping reality.
Exactly. The aftermath could be unsealing a long-forgotten secret that changes the world, or accidentally opening a rift to another dangerous plane. High stakes either way.
And a large-scale confrontation, like a mass battle. How do you make that personal amidst all the chaos?
A mass battle works by tying allies' fates directly to the PCs, forcing the player characters to make agonizing choices about who to save amidst the chaos.
Do they protect the innocent civilians or secure a strategic objective? Tough call.
Very. The aftermath would mean a side wins, but the costs are measured in lives, highlighting the sacrifices made and the grim realities of war. It's not a clean victory.
I love the idea of a moral test. How does that play out in a dramatic final encounter? Seems very character-driven.
A moral test is incredibly powerful when the enemy offers a seemingly irresistible deal that preys directly on a character's greatest weakness or ambition. Or perhaps the PC's greatest fear is weaponized against them.
Forcing them to confront their inner demons.
Right. The aftermath can be profound. The character's corruption, a moment of profound redemption, or even a morally ambiguous stalemate that has lasting implications for their soul and the world.
What about something fast-paced and chaotic, like a multi-stage chase?
In a multi-stage chase, the city could literally collapse into chaos around the party, making the environment as much an enemy as any villain. Players might even need to be split up.
Oh, split the party in the finale.
To reach simultaneous goals, yeah. Heightens the tension and forces difficult choices about who goes where. The aftermath could be a narrow escape, a tragic capture, or a major loss to the party or the world as key objectives are missed.
Or a race against time, like a ritual interruption. How do you make that interesting?
A ritual interruption can feature a time reality loop that repeats until characters figure out the solution.
Like Groundhog Day, but with demons.
Sort of, forcing them to learn from past mistakes. They might need to make a sacrifice of something precious, a magical item, a cherished memory, or even a piece of their very being. to break the cycle. The aftermath is severe. A global catastrophe, a world reset, or a hard-won success that leaves indelible marks.
Disney delves into the characters' minds or pasts in a more abstract way, like really psychological stuff.
Yes, a memory duel is fantastic for this. Emotional memories surface as the battlefield, forcing PCs to confront visions from their own pasts.
They might literally fight against a projection of their deepest regrets or greatest failures.
Exactly. The aftermath provides either trauma closure, finally healing old wounds, or leaves them with new scars, acknowledging the lasting impact of their journey. Very intense.
How about a finale that's purely a social encounter, like a debate trial? Can that be epic?
Absolutely. A debate trial would see the parties' very fate argued before a court, perhaps a divine council or a powerful political body. Crucially, ghosts from backstories could testify for or against them.
Making the social conflict incredibly personal.
Totally. The aftermath could see the party exiled from the land, honored as heroes of legend, or imprisoned, fundamentally altering their place in the world. All through words.
And what if the environment itself is the primary antagonist? Like an environmental hazard.
An environmental hazard could feature an arena that mutates with dynamic dangers like rising lava, raging storms, or an encroaching blight. PCs are forced to save NPCs or objects key to their arcs, often under extreme time pressure.
The aftermath.
Might be the total ruin of the location or its dramatic renewal and cleansing, depending on their success.
Finally, a heist finale. That sounds like a fun twist for a campaign end. Different vibe.
A heist finale raises stakes to include the world's fate, where securing an item or information is paramount, not just loot. You can add complexity with allies or old enemies acting as double agents.
Layers of deception. Twists and turns.
Right. The aftermath could be massive fame and fortune for the party, notoriety as infamous thieves, or the creation of a powerful new rival determined to retrieve what was stolen.
This is an incredible range of options that really goes beyond just fight the big bad. So as Dungeon Masters, when we're designing this final encounter, what should our ultimate focus truly be? Where do we zero in?
The ultimate advice, distilled from all these ideas, is to stare hard at what your players truly care about. What makes them tick? Do they crave that climactic battle against a dragon?
Or a tense debate with a devil for a character's soul?
Or maybe unraveling one last world-shattering mystery? Center the drama there. The finale must echo with the party's deeds, for good or ill, resting every detail, the mechanics, the setting, the crucial character choices, on the emotional backbone built across sessions.
It's about delivering the payoff for their unique journey, making it profoundly meaningful to them.
Exactly. That's the core.
Once that ultimate showdown is resolved, once the dust settles and the fate of the world hangs in the balance, we move into what we're calling weaving individual destinies, giving every character closure. Because an ending, truly, only resonates when every player feels seen, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This is so crucial. It's vital to leave no character's thread unspooled. The overarching campaign resolution, the fate of the world, is undeniably important.
But if individual characters feel their personal journey wasn't acknowledged or resolved,
the overall satisfaction for that player diminishes significantly. This means ensuring that each character's story is stitched closed with care and consequence, bringing their specific arc to a satisfying conclusion, even if it's not necessarily a happy one.
So how do we bring those deeply personal backstories, those unresolved debts, those quiet questions whispered way back in Session 0, back for a final reckoning?
Exactly those things. Those backstories, any lingering unresolved debts, and particularly those questions whispered in Session 0 by players about their characters' motivations, they should all return for reckoning.
How might that look in practice?
It could manifest as a sorcerer finally getting to speak with an estranged lover from their past, seeking forgiveness or closure, or maybe a paladin facing a divine judgment for old sins they committed before taking their oath.
Tie it all together.
The key is to intertwine these smaller, personal endings with the group's triumph or defeat, allowing each player taste resolution on their own terms. It creates this layered sense of closure, both for the group as a whole and for each individual character's profound journey.
And how do we create those personalized moments, those individual spotlights, allowing players to really narrate their own endings? That sounds like a powerful way to hand over the reins and make it truly theirs.
It truly is, and it's one of the most impactful things you can do as a DM. We advocate for offering private moments or spotlight monologues, especially once the dust has settled and the main conflict is over.
Give them space.
Give them ample time for celebration, regret, or quiet reflection. But most crucially, genuinely encourage players to describe their own endings. They have shaped these characters over countless hours. Let them guide them toward whatever peace or chaos fits their individual arc.
So the DM steps back a bit.
Yeah. And remember, epilogues don't always need to be grand or epic. Sometimes profound closure comes in a simple, heartfelt conversation. Or maybe a villain-turned ally fading into legend quietly.
And it doesn't have to be neat and tidy.
No, don't shy away from messiness or contradictions, as they can often be true to life and resonate more deeply than artificial neatness. Real life isn't always tied up in a perfect bow, right?
Too true. Sometimes our fictional lives shouldn't be either.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense, reflecting the complexities of reality. The material we've explored provides an amazing list of over 14 specific ways to give character-specific closure. Which ones really stand out as most impactful for you? Any personal favorites?
Oh, the list is rich with possibilities.
Ah.
Personalized epilogue monologues or one-on-one send-off scenes offer direct, intimate spotlight time for each player to reflect. That's always powerful.
Yeah, that dedicated time feels special.
Revisiting hometowns or important locations provides a powerful full-circle moment, showing how much the character has changed or maybe hasn't changed enough. Ghost NPC visits, whether from beloved allies or even fallen rivals, can offer final words of guidance, warning, or reconciliation. Very poignant.
And items. Items often carry a lot of weight.
Huge weight. Meaningful item handovers or destruction can symbolize the end of an arc, like giving away a magical sword they've outgrown, or finally destroying a cursed artifact that plagued them.
What about larger, more cosmic or official resolutions for individual characters? Things that define their place in the world.
Yeah, things like deity or cosmic interventions judgments can bring a character's spiritual journey to a powerful close, as their patron god finally speaks directly. Long-lost relatives reappearing, or romantic resolution, fulfilled or failed, provide intensely personal emotional payoffs.
Or finding out they got that promotion. Or maybe exiled.
Right. Promotion or exile in official orders defines their new place in the world and its hierarchies. And my personal favorite, maybe, found family rituals or toasts that reinforce group bonds in a uniquely personalized way, celebrating the connections they forged through all the hardship.
That's lovely. And what are some creative ways to show their lasting legacy? Even after the campaign ends, how do we show they mattered?
A cartographer's map sketching the legacy of their travels, marking their impact on the land itself. Or letters, visions from the future, showing how their deeds, big or small, affected generations to come.
Wow, seeing the future impact.
Immortalization in song or myth makes their legend tangible within the world. Maybe they hear a bard's tale about them in a faraway tavern years later. Prophetic glances at the character's impact can provide a glimpse of their future influence on the world or subsequent events.
And capping off those personal arcs.
Finally, redemption or corruption moments, or a rival's final word or acknowledgement, can perfectly cap off their moral or adversarial arcs, providing a sense of ultimate justice or consequence. Hearing their nemesis finally admit defeat or respect. Powerful stuff.
So, by letting the group's epilogues branch in all directions, we strengthen those emotional bonds among players. It really sounds like those quiet endings forge a sense of real completion.
Absolutely. By granting each PC's story, dignity, and attention, DMs strengthen every player's emotional bond to the campaign and to each other. The core insight here is clear. Campaigns aren't just about defeating evil or saving the world, important as that is.
They are fundamentally about carving a mark on the world through characters' individual journeys.
Exactly. Those personal resolutions, no matter how small or understated, are what truly make the campaign unforgettable and deeply meaningful for each player. It's the individual impact that creates the lasting echo.
All right, so we've got the grand strategic plan for the campaign. We've built the tension, crafted the ultimate showdown, and ensured individual character closure. Now, how do we actually orchestrate the final curtain, the final session structure? The material we've explored suggests these sessions demand ruthless pacing. What does that mean for a dungeon master? Sounds intense.
Ruthless pacing means that in the final session, action must dance with reflection, violence with vulnerability. It's about conscious control. You need to intentionally break the session into distinct phases, each with its own specific focus and tempo.
Why break it down like that?
It ensures that everything feels impactful and nothing drags or gets rushed. It's about being incredibly mindful of the narrative flow and hitting those emotional beats with precision. It's less about cutting content ruthlessly and more about ensuring every moment serves a purpose and feels significant.
Okay, so what are these distinct phases? Let's start with phase 1 setup. What's the goal here, and what activities should DMs prioritize to get everyone ready for the big finale?
The goal of the setup phase is really clear. Orient players and clearly set the stakes for the grand finale. This isn't just a quick previously on recap, it's a vital moment to get everyone on the same page.
Reminding them where they are, why they're there, what's at stake.
Precisely. It should include a brief but impactful recap of previous events, re-establishing the current world state and the immediate dangers. Critically, it allows for crucial moments of last-minute strategizing.
Players discussing their plans, maybe saying emotional goodbyes to beloved NPCs.
Or even making confessions to each other. Examples could include quick flashbacks to crucial moments they might have forgotten, players detailing their intricate schemes aloud, pre-battle reunions with key allies they've gathered.
Opportunities for last-minute item upgrades, forging alliances.
Or using scrying to gain final insights into the enemy. It's the calm, but it's pregnant with tension right before the storm breaks.
Then comes phase 2, climax. This is the main event, right? Where the core conflict erupts, where everything they've worked for comes to a head.
Precisely. The goal of this phase is to resolve the main conflict, build intense tension, test the character's growth, and integrate their individual arcs. This is the moment of the final boss fight. That climactic debate determining the fate of nations, or the desperate struggle to stop a world-ending ritual.
And the pacing here needs to be tight.
Absolutely. Kept tight. Every round of combat or line of dialogue must feel heavy with consequences, while you absolutely need to give space for unexpected twists and dramatic reversal.
We gotta prevent fights from sprawling into tedium with endless dice rolls that don't advance the narrative.
Exactly. Examples abound. Mid-fight twists that turn the tables, surprising betrayals from supposedly loyal allies, agonizing moral choices that redefine a character.
The sudden appearance of long-standing rivals, the fulfillment or denial of character destinies.
This is where their choices truly mean everything. Maximum intensity.
And finally, after all that intensity and the fate of the world has been decided, we move into phase 3, epilogue. What happens in this crucial phase after the dust has settled? It's not just the end, is it?
Definitely not. The epilogue phase is where the campaign truly breathes its last, deeply satisfying breaths. Its goal is to display the fallout and new world state, showing the consequences of their actions, both good and bad.
Providing individual character closure, facilitating player-led narration.
Encouraging group reflection, and subtly hinting at new adventures or future challenges. Activities include maybe a reflective campaign montage showcasing their entire journey, scenes depicting the long-term fate of kingdoms or cities they've impacted.
And those crucial one-on-one character scenes.
Yeah, perhaps through letters exchanged or personal farewells. Players should be encouraged to narrate their characters' legends, their hopes for the future, or even their lingering regrets. Give them the floor.
Group activities like shared in-game meals, celebratory toasts, or even a campaign slideshow of art or key moments.
All encouraged. And yes, it's a great time for whispers of rumors, open questions, or clear hooks for the next campaign, if there is one.
It sounds like a lot to pack into one session, even with ruthless pacing. What are the considerations for session duration? Should a finale be one night? Or could it, maybe should it, sprawl across multiple sessions?
That's a really practical consideration for every table, isn't it? Our insight suggests considering allowing the finale to sprawl across multiple sessions, especially if there are many complex subplots to resolve, or if significant downtime for character reflection is crucial.
Gives important moments the space they need to breathe and resonate.
Right. However, there's a vital warning against stretching tension too far, where momentum might flicker and players lose engagement. You don't want it to peter out.
In contrast, one-night finales offer a powerful, concise punch and a clear sense of closure.
But they might rush crucial scenes if not carefully managed. The ultimate advice is to pick your pacing with care, balancing depth and emotional impact with maintaining player engagement and momentum. Know your group, know your story.
Beyond the strict structure, the material stresses that the final session lives or dies on timing and mood. How do DMs manage that delicate balance? Especially with so much happening, it sounds tricky.
It's an art form, really. You need to let the story breathe, allowing for poignant moments to land, for characters to express emotions, for meaningful conversations to unfold. Give silence its due.
But at the same time, you must always keep a hand on the pulse of the table's energy.
Absolutely. This means not drowning a climactic moment in endless dice rolls that bog down the action and kill the tension, nor racing past a tearful goodbye that desperately needs its moment of silence and emotional weight.
It's about feeling the rhythm of the game, reading the table's energy, and adjusting on the fly.
To ensure maximum impact for every single beat, be present.
And what if, despite all this careful planning, things inevitably go off the rails? As the material says, even the best plans savage themselves against player unpredictability. How ready should DMs be to pivot and embrace the unexpected in those final moments?
Oh, DMs absolutely need to be ready to pivot. It's almost guaranteed something unexpected will happen. While you should strive to hit your beats and guide the narrative towards a satisfying conclusion, the ultimate goal is to let the group find grace in those last, unrepeatable minutes.
Find grace. I like that.
It means acknowledging that player choices, as they always do, might lead to unexpected outcomes, twists you never anticipated. The DM's role then becomes to facilitate the best possible ending that emerges organically from the shared narrative, rather than clinging rigidly to a pre-planned script.
It's about collaborating with chaos to find a brilliant conclusion.
Beautifully put.
Fantastic advice for the session itself. But what happens beyond the table? The material we've explored talks about epilogues and post-campaign wrap-up, and the idea of milking the aftermath. What does that truly mean, and how do we allow players to glimpse the long-term ripples from their deeds?
Milking the aftermath means that after the dice go silent, after the final words are spoken, the most satisfying campaigns don't just abruptly end with a "the end" slide.
Right, they linger.
They continue to show players the long-term consequences of their actions, both the chaos they might have inadvertently caused and the profound hope that blooms across time.
So, revealing the ultimate fate of a revolution they started, or whether magic truly vanished from the world due to their choices.
Exactly. You can update players on the long-term destinies of old NTCs they loved or hated, or reveal distant disasters, fresh alliances, or even entirely new religions sparked by their actions.
It truly shows that their heroism or their failures had a lasting, tangible impact on the world you built together.
Makes it feel real, like their story mattered beyond their own lives.
That sounds like a powerful way to provide context and a sense of enduring legacy. And what about collaborative epilogues? How do we pull the table together one last time for that final act of shared storytelling?
Collaborative epilogues are about inviting everyone to add a stroke to the mural of the campaign's legacy. It's a really nice communal activity.
Like players describing a magnificent statue erected in the party's honor.
Or singing a future myth about their exploits that bards will tell for generations. Or even inventing a holiday commemorating their greatest gamble. The material stresses that stories breathe when shared, and they grow in strange and wonderful directions when everyone contributes to the post-campaign narrative.
It's a final, powerful act of shared storytelling, cementing the campaign's place in their collective memories.
Very bonding.
It also mentions embracing melancholy. Why is it important not to shy from melancholy in these wrap-up moments even when celebrating? Seems counterintuitive again.
Because some endings, frankly, ache with possibility or regret. Not every outcome is a triumphant, unblemished victory. Maybe a beloved villain's child rises years later, determined to avenge their parent.
Or maps lie rewritten with scars of war, or the world just shrugs and pushes on, indifferent.
Right. Allowing the table to feel what they've made and unmade, to genuinely process the full spectrum of emotions tied to the journey, including the sadness, the loss, the what-ifs, provides a more nuanced and realistic sense of closure. It validates the full emotional investment.
It acknowledges the bittersweet parts.
Which are often the most resonant.
The material we've explored also gives us over 12 specific post-campaign wrap-up moments to extend that sense of story. What are some of your favorites from that comprehensive list?
Oh, there are so many good ones here. A future world montage decades later can be incredibly evocative, showing the profound long-term changes wrought by their actions. Really gives perspective.
A final letter from a now famous NPC can provide a deeply personal touch, updating them on how their lives were impacted.
Yeah, or deity rule or elder judgment of the party's deeds can confirm their place in history, either revered or reviled. Timeline fast-forwards, showing political, magical, or technological shifts in the world, really drives home the impact of their grand achievements or failures.
What about those elements that solidify their legacy or bring back old elements for a final nod? Make it feel connected.
In-universe songs, statues, or holidays about the party are fantastic for solidifying their legacy, making them part of the world's very fabric. Old enemies or allies revealing their fate provide satisfying closure to those relationships, showing what became of them.
A party reunion years later scene offers a wistful, heartwarming, or even bittersweet look at their shared past and what they've become.
Always a classic. Mythologized retellings, whether truth or wild exaggeration, show how their story evolves into legend, whispered from generation to generation, and descendants or future heroes inspired by parties' exploits directly links their legacy to new adventures.
Showing their impact truly transcends time. Any that tie into the world building or potential new campaigns specifically? Little seeds?
Definitely. A closure scene with pets, sentient items, or familiars can provide a sweet personal farewell to those loyal companions. Often overlooked, but very meaningful.
Yeah, what did happen to the Wizard's Owl?
Exactly. Journals or keepsakes found by new adventurers, or the origin of legends or urban myths about the party's exploits, are excellent subtle hooks for future games set in the same world.
And perhaps most provocatively,
Revealing the next great threat the party unknowingly spawned can lay the groundwork for a direct sequel campaign or a broader world narrative that carries their legacy forward in unexpected, maybe dangerous ways.
so it's about validating player impact, truly showing them that their characters mattered long after the dice are packed away. And the warning not to rush the epilogue or skip the sense of goodbye is absolutely crucial, isn't it?
It is absolutely crucial. Players crave proof their characters mattered, that their arduous journey had a lasting effect. Rushing this phase or neglecting it entirely can significantly diminish that profound sense of accomplishment and closure.
The material emphasizes that the world's heartbeat continues, changed, haunted, or healed by the party's hand.
This final phase is where that deep, world-altering transformation is truly recognized, absorbed, and cemented by everyone at the table, ensuring the impact is felt for a long time. Don't shortchange the goodbye.
We've covered a lot about making campaign endings impactful, but let's be honest, as DMs, sometimes the dice don't land right. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, things fall short.
Happens to the best of us.
The material we've gone through candidly acknowledges that perfection is myth. Flaws become stories too. How do we handle those moments when the finale stumbles or just doesn't quite hit the mark?
It's a reality every DM faces, yeah. A boss fight might fizzle out faster than expected, a dramatic twist might miss its mark, or a critical NPC moment falls flat, leaving players feeling a bit, well, disappointed.
What's the first step? Panic.
No, the key here is a mindset shift. Acknowledging imperfection is not failure. Perfection is myth. Flaws become stories too. Embrace this. It's absolutely okay if it's not flawless. Sometimes those very imperfections can make the story more real, more relatable, and even more endearing in the long run.
So how do we manage player expectations honestly and maintain that crucial player trust when things aren't seamless, when the grand vision doesn't quite materialize?
The advice is clear. Manage expectations honestly and, if necessary, acknowledge missteps openly. Players, we've learned, care less about seamless execution and more about whether you saw them, honored their choices, and kept the table's spirit alive.
So authenticity over perfection.
Your genuine concern, your willingness to admit that maybe a particular moment didn't quite land, builds immense trust. It shows that you value their experience, their emotional investment, and the shared journey above all else, far more than a flawless performance.
And how can we channel those stumbles, that potential disappointment, into new beginnings? Instead of dwelling on what might have gone wrong, can we transform it into something positive?
Absolutely. Instead of trying to paper over rough patches, use them as an opportunity to invite candid feedback. Ask your players directly what felt unresolved for you, or what did you want to see happen that didn't quite play out.
Empower the group to help patch gaps through collaborative tools.
Exactly. This could be a short bonus epilogue session to tie up loose ends, a director's cut or alternate ending discussion, or even, in rare cases, a do-over session for a specific scene if everyone agrees. These active steps can transform initial disappointment into fresh connection and shared problem solving.
And mistakes can become story fuel.
What's more, mistakes become new campaign seeds. Those unfinished elements, those dangling threads, can shimmer with potential, becoming hooks for your very next adventure or even cautionary tales woven into the world's myths.
That's a really positive and proactive spin on things. Are there any specific recovery techniques for underwhelming finales that you've come across? Things DMs can actually do, concrete steps?
Yeah, the material we've explored provides some brilliant practical ones. You could schedule a surprise epilogue or bonus wrap session to tie up lingering loose ends and provide more closure. Just tack on another hour next time.
Empower your players by letting them revise or rewrite moments in post-game discussion, giving them agency over the narrative, even after the fact.
As we just discussed, turn jangling threads into seeds for a new campaign, turning what if into what's next. You could even host a group alternate ending storytelling jam where everyone collectively imagines a different conclusion that can be a lot of fun, actually.
What about revisiting key moments or perhaps even changing perspectives entirely? That sounds interesting.
You could revisit tough scenes in flashback or dream format to provide clarity or a different emotional angle, perhaps revealing a hidden motivation you didn't get across. Invite NPCs to express their perspective post-finale can offer new insights and validate their roles in the story.
For truly unsatisfying conflicts, in rare instances, you could even roll back and replay the unsatisfying conflict.
If the table agrees, yeah, learning from the first attempt. You can also spotlight each character's resolution even post-session through individual notes or messages, ensuring everyone feels seen even if the main session felt rushed.
And a really fun one. Flip perspectives and play the opposing faction for a session.
Seeing the finale from the enemy's side, great for understanding and sometimes hilarious.
Any final gestures to really make amends or move forward if things felt particularly rough?
Absolutely. Ask each player for their ideal epilogue to give them direct input and a sense of ownership over their character's future. Create an in-universe myth explaining what really happened for a fun, meta-narrative twist that smooths over the bumps.
And as a heartfelt makeup for a tough ending.
You can give bonus rewards or narrative perks in future games, signaling your appreciation for their understanding and patience. You could also share a curated playlist or photo montage celebrating favorite moments from the campaign, reminding everyone of the good times and shared triumphs, putting the focus back on the whole journey.
It truly sounds like even failed finales hold meaning. The focus, it seems, remains firmly on the journey and the relationships forged around the table, not just that one last session.
Exactly. What matters most is the journey, the friendships carved from long nights, the legends dreamed together. The capacity to laugh over stumbles and learn from them is a sign of a strong, resilient group.
Ultimately, a table that recovers together stays together.
Right. The passion and care of the group are paramount because as long as the group cares, every campaign finds peace, no matter how bumpy the ending might have been.
As the dust settles and the echoes of laughter, and perhaps a few groans, fade, we come to our final thoughts on ending your campaign. Because it's true, isn't it, that every ending is a new beginning? Seems like a good place to land.
It absolutely is. Just as the last chapter in a beloved book doesn't necessarily close off the world entirely, but instead deepens its lore and expands its possibilities.
A campaign's finale is truly a launch pad for fresh adventures.
You should actively embrace the residue of your narrative, considering what threads remain to be tugged at or where new heroes can rise from the ashes of old tales. It's about seeing the end not as a dead stop, but as fertile ground for future stories.
And nurturing a spirit of reflection seems key here, doesn't it? How do we ensure players get that debriefing and share their experiences, turning the campaign into something even more meaningful?
Nurturing a spirit of reflection is crucial for bolstering those table bonds. Gather your players for a debriefing session, maybe over some actual food and drinks out of game.
Yeah, make it a social thing.
Where they can openly share their feelings, their favorite moments, or even their uncharted aspirations for their characters going forward. This candor transforms the campaign into a shared tapestry of experiences, emphasizing the deep collaboration and emotional connection forged throughout your time together.
It's about collectively processing the entire journey, not just the destination.
Exactly, the highs and the lows.
It seems like embracing imperfection is also a recurring, powerful theme throughout everything we've talked about. Even misshapen dice rolls and awkward situations contribute to the group's rich history. Why is that where the true magic lies?
Because it's those quirks, those unexpected turns, and those unpredictable moments that truly make a campaign unique and undeniably memorable. You absolutely shouldn't shy away from the unpredictable.
Lean into the chaos.
Our insights tell us to lean into those quirks, for they are the heartbeats of your story. They serve as powerful reminders that imperfection is where true magic lies. It's the spontaneous jokes, the hilarious mistakes, the agonizingly difficult choices that create the most cherished memories and make your story feel truly uniquely your own.
And the idea of cyclical narratives is fascinating, creating continuity between campaigns. How does that influence future games, perhaps even years down the line?
Cyclical narratives create a profound sense of continuity by using callbacks and remnants from the past that surface in entirely new campaigns. This binds experiences together, providing a rich, shared history.
Reinforcing the idea that the world you crafted doesn't end with the session, it lives on.
Influencing the fate of future adventurers who inhabit those same spaces, it gives the world a sense of persistent history and a living, breathing quality that transcends any single story arc.
We've talked about celebration, but grieving losses also holds immense value. Why is it important to allow for that emotional depth even after the main narrative concludes? Shouldn't it all be happy endings?
Not always. Because a character's fall, a friendship severed, or a deeply held ambition dashed can resonate incredibly deeply within a player. Grieving losses can also hold immense value.
Allowing players to embody their feelings about these losses, to truly express that sadness or regret,
Validates their immense investment in the story and their character. It creates a richer emotional landscape for the entire experience. It's a powerful reminder that sadness can be as profound as joy in storytelling, adding layers of meaning that might otherwise be missed if you just gloss over it.
So ultimately, it's about crafting a legacy, wrapping your campaign in a treasure chest of undying memories. What's the final overarching takeaway here for every Dungeon Master listening, the big message?
The final takeaway is to celebrate everything. Not just the climactic moments, not just the big wins, but also the quiet instances of camaraderie, the shared meals, and the late-night discussions that percolated into your sessions and forged those bonds.
Remember the little moments, too.
Encourage each player to carry a piece of your collective journey forward, keeping the flame alive until it flickers once more and sparks a new adventure. Because it isn't merely about finishing a story.
It's about crafting a legacy that echoes in the hearts of those who lived it.
That's the heart of it.
What an incredible deep dive into the art, and maybe science, of ending a D&D campaign with impact. We've really pulled a lot of practical wisdom from the brilliant insights of LitRPG Reads today.
Yeah, really useful stuff.
And we definitely want to extend a huge thank you to Paul Bello, a fine fellow indeed, for his work in providing these amazing resources that sparked this whole conversation.
It's been a truly insightful discussion, hasn't it? Full of actionable tips for every Dungeon Master out there looking to make their campaign finales truly special and memorable for their players.
Absolutely. So we invite you, our listeners, to kick back, maybe grab a favorite beverage, and reflect on your own tabletop journeys. We'd love for you to share with us.
Yeah, tell us your stories.
What are some of your favorite campaign conclusions you've experienced or run? Or what are your best tips for creating those truly unforgettable endings at your table? Drop your thoughts in the comments section wherever you're listening, and let's keep this conversation going.
And as you ponder your next adventure, or maybe the end of your current one, consider this final thought. How will you ensure your next campaign's finale doesn't just close a chapter, but ignites a legacy that inspires stories for generations of adventurers to come?